अस्सलाम वालेकुम, नमस्ते, सत श्री अकाल। कैसे हैं आप लोग? उम्मीद करती हूँ ठीक होंगे, खुश होंगे। मैं हूँ अतिकली और आज आप लोग के लिए बहुत ही लेटेस्ट सी वीडियो। योगी जी इज द नेक्स्ट पीएम। सो स्टार्ट करते हैं अपनी वीडियो को विदाउट वेस्टिंग एनी टाइम। सो लेट्स स्टार्ट। ओके गाइस, सो वीडियो का टाइटल है योगी जी एज इंडियाज नेक्स्ट पीएम। जे सई दीपक डिस्कसेस बीजेपीज फ्यूचर। सो स्टार्ट करते हैं वीडियो।
Your friends are scrolling through short content, but you, my friend, you're here to learn. Welcome to TRS Clips. There are 4 or 5 people within the BJP who could be sort of next PM candidates. Modi ji probably has 4 years left, and then at some point he's going to take a step back. Everyone anticipates that as well. His whole kind of basis, and this is what I've learned from Sanjeev Sanyal, is that he wants to focus on infrastructure.
Right.
Someone will have to take the game forward.
Right.
Simple question, who's the next PM? What's the future of the BJP?
When there is no opposition or quality opposition, the only opposition that can theoretically come from then is from within the society, where the society says we need one more, or from within the existing power structure. So this is a theoretical projection, not based on any first-hand knowledge and based on what has happened in the past. If that were to happen, I would see the gradual formation of what I call the Naram Dal and the Garam Dal within the BJP. The Naram Dal focuses only on infrastructure, investment, all this. The Garam Dal saying, पथराव हो रहा है, स्टोन पेल्टिंग हो रहा है, हर वंदे भारत एक्सप्रेस पे पत्थर फेंके जा रहे हैं. And you have people asserting themselves in the most vigilante fashions possible. And you're looking at illegal migration. You're looking at China. You're looking at the changing demographic balance in border districts, in close to 200 districts. Are we then creating Vikas, where a country with fantastic infrastructure is ripe for taking over? आप सब कुछ तैयार करके किसी और के हाथ में दे देंगे. Effectively, what's happening with Europe? First world infrastructure being handed over to third world immigrants, especially from the Middle East. Okay? Or even for that matter, from Pakistan specifically. Right? So if you have to look at a situation which you don't want, that situation is Europe, where you've got Vikas, but you have zero cultural moorings or civilizational identity anymore, thanks to their hyper focus on secularism, where they've killed their own identity and they don't have an identity to speak of. And when identity does not exist, the human consciousness will be filled with something else, because vacuum cannot exist. दिमाग खाली नहीं हो सकता है, कुछ ना कुछ होगा. Either it's gold or garbage. It's for you to decide, right? So this Narandal Garandal fight may at some point come to the fore, and that may result in changing the outlook of the party, or it could result in other possibilities. I hope it results in, let's say, a reorientation of the apparatus for a good reason, because it's now become a winning machine. Right, for the most part. With, of course, state-wise they have lost a few, and with that traction momentum, I think it would be a tragedy if that momentum is cut short because of irreconcilable differences within on these aspects. So they have to start accommodating it. So somewhere I'd say a Yogi Ji's approach to law and order, okay, the continued insistence on infrastructure, right? Both these may have to go hand in hand. You have to realize that not only has Uttar Pradesh improved in the context of law and order from 2017, it's also done really well in terms of infrastructure, by the way.
It's just that I think his branding is extremely intense for the left wing, that they push certain narratives.
What's the population of Uttar Pradesh? 25 crores, close to that. Okay? But at 1.4 billion, you're looking at least 20 crores. Which state in this country can handle that kind of population? And this is a state which is unfortunately previously called one of the Bimaru states. Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh. Right? He did not inherit a Gujarat. He inherited an Uttar Pradesh after Mayawati and Samajwadi Party. Right? People living in Noida will tell you that there were massive power cuts and every house had to have either a generator or an inverter depending on what they could afford. That's changed. Roads have become safer and better. Police stations are more approachable. Previously, a police station in Uttar Pradesh was a difficult place to go to. You never knew how you'd be treated. That has changed. Samsung wanted to move out of Noida because they weren't sure of how the new establishment would handle, let's say, investment. He convinced them to stay back, the manufacturing facility, from what I understand. A delegation comes from Iran. He brings together that delegation with artists in Uttar Pradesh of Shia Persian origin and makes them meet each other. And he says, you know what, if you have any problems investing in the state, I'm available. Here's a hotline. This is what I've heard from reliable journalists. Okay. So clearly he seems to be able to balance both sides. In a state like Uttar Pradesh with its huge legacy, let's not forget that Ram Janmabhoomi happened in Uttar Pradesh. Therefore, there are very clear communal tensions in the state. In terms of legacy, what he has inherited. I would say, compared to that, his turnaround, it's one thing to actually do well in a state which already has a fantastic reputation for progress. But to do it in Uttar Pradesh, it's always been associated with what? The Badlands of India. Or the cow belt. What a pejorative thing to say about a country that civilizationally has a certain place of worship for cow. To use it as a pejorative, such a cow belt. Hindi heartland. Right? I'd say that the way of the future is to combine both sides. Infrastructure with a very clear position on law and order.
Is he your pick for the next PM?
I have no idea because I'd like to see how he goes in terms of his appeal beyond his home territory.
Okay.
He has to, because you see, there is going to be a Hindi barrier in Tamil Nadu, right? And he also wears the saffron, which I'm very happy about. Okay, I have no problems with it. I'd want to see how that translates to his ability to reach out to people. Then also is the important factor of his ability to handle international optics. Taiyari do level ki hogi. One is pan-India, the second is the global stage. Both.
Which could be his weakness.
I'm not saying it's a weakness. I'd simply say it's an area because you see, I'm someone who looks at it's a weakness if someone cannot work on it or does not have the ability to actually work on it. But if someone shows the ability to work on something, I'd say it's an area for work.
Okay.
That's how I'd put it.
I don't have enough research or facts and figures to argue on the left's behalf.
I'll tell you what the left will say. Encounter killings.
Okay.
That's what they'll latch on to. They'll say law and order. Ask the women folk, or even men folk for that matter, or to use their language, the non-binary gender identity. Okay, if they're safer in Uttar Pradesh today compared to before.
This right? I can validate because I've been to Uttar Pradesh a lot. This is the general narrative.
Right.
Safer than ever.
Lucknow has become such a place to go to. It's brilliant. Hazratganj in Lucknow mimics Connaught Place in Delhi in terms of its architecture. What a happening place. Of course, I'm not going to say that let's use that as the basis for everything else. But other cities also. It's not as if this is one of those states where it has only a couple of cities to showcase. It's trying to do, so you have a Prayag, you have a Kashi, you have a Noida, you have a Lucknow. A lot of these cities, each of them is capable of generating a lot of income because they have traditional industries. Badhoi, which is about 60 kilometers away from Varanasi, is known for being the carpet town of the world. Most carpets that go from Bharat have some contribution from that place. Similarly, several places have each, let's say, their own industries, their own legacy of industries. So it's actually a sleeping giant which is awakened. And Uttar Pradesh can turn around. The two states which, frankly speaking, are beautiful, culturally rich, and which have the resources. Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. Turn them around. Bharat will see greater strides towards progress on an overall level. One, because of the sheer size and the scale of the populations. I've not had the good fortune of going to Bihar, in fact. But everyone who's been there says, what a green and beautiful state. What is it that Bihar lacks in terms of resources? And let me challenge anyone when they say that Biharis don't have the IQ for it. No, not at all. Bureaucracy, they're fantastic. Engineering, they're bloody good at it.
Yeah. They're probably the most high IQ community.
Exactly. They're among the best.
You need to go and find that high IQ when you interact with them.
If you go to your railway depots, or let's say your IRSME establishment, which is where you manufacture your coaches and you repair, most of them are Biharis. They're bloody good at it. They don't believe in passing off communication skills as knowledge. So their emphasis is not on English, rightly so. They focus on core strengths, manufacturing sector. And IAS, there's a huge Bihar contribution there. because they have a legacy contribution there.
Hmm.
So these two states, I think, are to watch out for. Madhya Pradesh has turned around the agriculture sector brilliantly. And now it's focusing on industrial policy. Okay? I should know this. I'm the special counsel for the state government of Madhya Pradesh in the Basmati litigation. And I know how they've turned this around. I'm just coming from Indore. I had a lecture last evening at Ujjain. Enlightened students, youngsters, culturally rooted, very proud of their civilizational origins, their religious origins, and eager and keen to perform and show that do not associate Madhya Pradesh with the Chambal Valley of the past. They come with that kind of zeal and ambition. So what is stopping them? If there are right opportunities provided, these three states, huge, large, resource-rich, can turn the India story around, the Bharat story around, fully.
By selling things to the rest of the world.
Yes. You know, one of the things that's undertapped is what I call the branding economy from the perspective of intellectual property. I'll give you a simple example.
Sure.
What do you think of France when you think of, let's say, foods, liquids, champagne?
Yeah.
Right? Scotland, you're looking at Scotch whiskey, right? Or the the tweed jackets, on and so forth, right? Why? One is creating a product. The second is to create an ecosystem around it and quality standards so that you know champagne ki quality ye hogi. This is how it should be. Swiss cheese, feta cheese, Greek cheese, or whatever it is, right? During World Trade negotiations, these countries were fighting for rights over spirits and cheeses because that's their primary industry. Each of these states has such products to offer across the board on the manufacturing side as well as on the agriculture side. If you were to actually create a brilliant branding economy and quality control economy for each of these things, you are ensuring that the local population stays there. What does that do? Stops the local population from running to cities and crowding cities.
The local brain drain.
Exactly. Because then there's so much of stress on the cities and people are leaving the villages. That leads to all kinds of problems. So if you're able to give them enough empowerment and enough enabling metrics which give them incentive to stay back, thrive. When people are watching TV, what are they looking at? Delhi ऐसा होता है, Mumbai ऐसा होता है. अगर वहाँ जाने की जरूरत ना पड़ी, and people say we'll stay here, we'll turn this into a different place altogether. That's the trick. And so local branding of the economy and giving it a foothold and let's say the support that the state can is where I think the entire trick is. Madhya Pradesh has started doing it.
Yeah. The entrepreneurial perspective here is that I think a bunch of generations have missed out on marketing 101s and branding 101s there. Probably this new under 16, under 14 generation is
They're learning
picking
the
up
game. Correct.
because of Geo, because of YouTube, just the internet reaching there.
So the startup culture has gone to the tier 2 and the tier 3 cities.
Yeah.
And using their traditional strengths. It's not as if they're suddenly talking about apps. They're talking about startups for their karigari, for their carpets, for let's say whatever they manufacture locally. Here, there is a huge leap in people's understanding of what is known as the GI tag, the geographical indications tag. Like Kanchipuram silk, Basmati rice, right? That tag is what gives it value. If you remove the Basmati tag from the rice, it sells at 500 rupees per quintal. If you add it, it's 1,500 bucks. That's the difference. That is the importance of branding.
I would have asked you how you actually solve this problem of teaching people branding and marketing, but I think it's happening
Right.
through the internet.
Correct.
So it's kind of a function of time.
There are rough edges, but they learn.
Yeah, goes to show why Shark Tank India has taken off so much.
Right,
There's
right.
actually that much interest in
Correct.
raising money.
I just
etc.
hope, or at least I wish it weren't as elitist as it is.
Shark Tank?
Yes.
What's your criticism?
I think some of the judges could perhaps lower their snobbery.
You want to
And-
take names?
No,
Okay.
because names take away attention from the content.
Okay. Fair.
I'm interested in the issue.
Fair.
I'm saying it's a good idea. You have a great platform. You can actually help build the India story from a startup perspective. Maybe park your elitism aside for a while. I'm not accusing everyone, some. And hope to actually encourage people a bit more, especially those who may not have the grooming skills or the social graces that you expect of them.
Yeah.
That's it.
So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you check out this playlist for more videos just like this. It's TRS Clips.
अच्छा, ये खबर पहली बार नहीं सुनने को मिली है मुझे कि योगी जी में भी नेक्स्ट प्राइम मिनिस्टर हो सकते हैं। ये खबर मुझे तकरीबन 2 साल पहले भी सुनने को मिली थी और काफ़ी इस चीज़ का शोर शराबा हो रहा था और काफ़ी ज़्यादा वीडियोस भी देखने को मिल रही थी योगी जी के हवाले से। अच्छा, ये बात बिल्कुल ठीक है कि अब आने वाले वक्तों में ज़ाहिर सी बात है एक नया लीडर चाहिए होगा, क्योंकि पीएम मोदी जी के पास 4 से 5 साल और हैं, 4 साल बताया गया और है, और उसके बाद तो कोई एक नया प्राइम मिनिस्टर आएगा ही। तो क्या होगा, ठीक है। और जिस तरीके से मतलब बीजेपी वर्क करती है, और जैसे मैंने बताया एक नरम दल है और एक गर्म दल है, और उसके थ्रू डिफरेंट डिफरेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स होते हैं, डिफरेंट डिफरेंट चीज़ें होती हैं, ठीक है। दोनों की अलग अलग नोयत है, अलग अलग चीज़ें होती हैं। तो ये बात भी समझ में आए। अच्छा, यूपी के हवाले से अगर मैं थोड़ी सी बात करूँ तो यूपी ने बहुत ज़्यादा डेवलपमेंट की है योगी जी के कार्यकाल में, इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं, ठीक है। ये हम लोग जो इतनी दूर, ठीक है, बैठे हुए मीलों दूर बैठे हुए हैं, हमें भी पता है, हमें भी दिख रहा है, ठीक है। अब अच्छा, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के हवाले से बहुत वर्किंग हुई है, बहुत काम हुआ है। लॉ एंड ऑर्डर के हवाले से सबसे ज़्यादा जो उन्हें जाना जाता है, माना जाता है, जो वो फेमस हैं या उनकी पॉपुलैरिटी का जो राज है, तो वो यही है कि वो बहुत स्ट्रिक्ट है, लॉज एंड ऑर्डर के हवाले से बहुत ज़्यादा स्ट्रिक्ट है, ठीक है। अगर कोई भी गैर कानूनी बिल्डिंग देखने को मिलती है या कहीं पे भी कोई भी इलीगल काम होता है तो उसको तुरंत बंद करवाना। बिल्डिंग्स को तो मैंने देखा है बुलडोजर चल रहे होते हैं बाकायदा और गिरवा रहे होते हैं, जो भी गैर कानूनी हो, इलीगल हो, इसके सख्त खिलाफ है, ठीक है। बहुत स्ट्रिक्ट है इन मामला में, ये चीज़ें मुझे पहले से पता है। अच्छा, योगी जी का एक जो एक बिहेवियर है ना, पीएम मोदी जी का जो बिहेवियर है उसके अंदर थोड़ी सी लचक और थोड़ी सी एक क्या कहूँ, थोड़ी सी नरमी दिखाई देती है। लेकिन अगर योगी जी की बिहेवियर की बात करूँ तो योगी जी बहुत ही स्ट्रिक्ट दिखाई देते हैं, बहुत स्ट्रिक्ट दिखाई देते हैं। मतलब बच्चों के साथ बस मुझे एक वीडियो याद आती है जिसमें मैंने उनको हंसते और मुस्कुराते हुए देखा है, और बच्चों के साथ बिल्कुल बच्चों की तरह बिहेव करते हुए और एक अलग स्वभाव देखा है मैंने उनका। लेकिन अगर मैं ओवर योगी जी की बात करूँ तो मैंने योगी जी को मुश्किल से हंसते या मुस्कुराते देखा होगा। मैंने उनको किसी भी फुटेज में, किसी भी वीडियो में, पूरी की पूरी वीडियो देख लो, लंबी से लंबी वीडियोस देख लो, या कहीं लाइव आप उनको देखो, और कहीं पे कोई मीटिंग वगैरह में वो अटेंड कर रहे होते हैं, उस मीटिंग में उनकी मौजूदगी हो, तो आप जब भी उनका एक बिहेवियर, एक बॉडी लैंग्वेज देखोगे, एक एटीट्यूड देखोगे, तो बहुत ज़्यादा सोबर और बहुत ज़्यादा सीरियस है, ठीक है। और किसी से भी बात करते हुए ऐसे बात करते हैं वो कि सामने वाला मतलब उनके रोब में आ जाए, ठीक है। बहुत मुझे लगता है बहुत बड़ी हिम्मत और हौसले की बात होगी सिर्फ उनसे मुखातिब होकर उनसे बात करना या कुछ पूछना, ठीक है। एक अलग सा रूप दिखता है, एक अलग सा एक भारीपन दिखता है उनके अंदर, उनकी पूरी पर्सनैलिटी के अंदर। तो इस वजह से मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि वो थोड़े से मुख्तलिफ हैं, मोदी जी से मुख्तलिफ हैं, ठीक है, क्योंकि वो स्ट्रिक्ट है और इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं है कि वो स्ट्रिक्ट है, ठीक है। हम देख देख चुके हैं लॉ एंड ऑर्डर के हवाले से, क्राइम वगैरह के हवाले से बहुत रोकथाम, बहुत ज़्यादा रोकथाम। और एक वीडियो में तो मुझे याद आ रहा था कि कुछ गुंडे वगैरह थे और कुछ चोर वगैरह थे, तो जैसे ही उनको पता चला कि रेड पड़ने वाली है और योगी जी की तरफ से उनको पकड़ा जाने वाला है, और कुछ पुलिस वाले कुछ आने वाले हैं, उसके बाद वो योगी जी के हत्थे चढ़ने वाले हैं, तो उन्होंने सुसाइड कर लिया था। आई थिंक मुझे आज भी याद है, और वो न्यूज़ क्लिप मेरे लिए एक बहुत ही शॉकिंग था मेरे लिए कि एक ऐसा मिनिस्टर दुनिया में पाया जाता है कि जिसके डर से गलत काम करने वाले या क्रिमिनल्स या जो भी गुंडे चोर डकैत जो भी हैं, वो उसके हत्थे चढ़ने से बेहतर समझते हैं मौत को गले लगाना। और उन्होंने लिटरली, उन्होंने, मुझे याद आता है कि सुसाइड कर लिया था। और ये ये है उनका रोब और दबदबा, ठीक है। तो ऐसा अगर मिनिस्टर आता है तो वाकई पीएम मोदी से वो बहुत हटकर हैं, और बहुत कुछ डेवलपमेंट, तरक्की, प्रोग्रेस तो देखने को मिलेगी 100%, लेकिन एक अलग एटीट्यूड देखने को मिलेगा, ठीक है। अच्छा, उन्होंने जिस तरीके से अपने स्टेट को भी लेकर आया, सेकंड नंबर पर आ रहा है यूपी। मैंने अभी पिछले ही दिनों एक वीडियो करी है, बहुत लेटेस्ट सी वीडियो थी, उसमें तमिलनाडु और यूपी की का एक कंपैरिजन देखने को मिला था, तो काफ़ी चीज़ें देखने को मिली, यूपी के हवाले से काफ़ी नॉलेज मिली। और $358 बिलियन की जीडीपी है यूपी की। आई थिंक, अगर मैं गलत नहीं हूँ, मुझे याद नहीं है, तो ये है कि यूपी बहुत तरक्की कर रहा है इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के हवाले से, इंडस्ट्रियल सेक्टर के हवाले से, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के हवाले से, लॉ एंड ऑर्डर के हवाले से। वो बता रहे हैं कि पहले ऐसा होता था यूपी के अंदर पुलिस के पास जाना, कंप्लेंट दर्ज करवाना बहुत मुश्किल हुआ करता था, ये बहुत ही गंभीर टास्क था किसी के लिए। और अब चीज़ें बहुत चेंज हुई, बहुत ज़्यादा तब्दीली आई हैं इनके क्यारे में। तो मैं तो इस चीज़ के बिल्कुल हक में हूँ कि एक ऐसा मिनिस्टर आए। वैसे तो मोदी जी मेरे फेवरेट हैं, योगी जी अपनी जगह फेवरेट हैं, अपनी जगह अहमियत के हामी हैं, लेकिन जब उनका कार्यकाल ख़त्म होता है और अगर कोई और मिनिस्टर आए, क्योंकि और भी मिनिस्टर्स बहुत सारे हैं, लेकिन योगी जी अगर आते हैं तो मेरे हिसाब से ये बहुत अच्छा होगा, बहुत बेहतर होगा, मुल्क के लिए बहुत अच्छा होगा। और इनकी पॉलिटिक्स या इनकी लीडरशिप एक अलग किस्म की होगी, ये तो मैं वसूख के साथ कह सकती हूँ। तो बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग वीडियो थी। दोबारा किसी और वीडियो के साथ आपसे मुलाकात होगी, जब तक का बहुत सारा ख्याल रखें। और आप लोग भी मुझे कमेंट के जरिए बताइए कि योगी जी के हवाले से आपके क्या विचार हैं। मैंने तो अपने सारे विचार बता दिए आप लोगों को, ताकि मैं भी जान सकूँ। तो अपना बहुत सारा ख्याल रखें।